Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and I'm from Amanda Crochets, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful Rosy Cheeks Baby Blanket. This blanket measures approximately 29 inches across by 32 inches long, and it is a very sweet and very fun blanket to make using a shell stitch as well as a V-stitch for the border. So let's begin today's tutorial making the Rosy Cheeks Baby Blanket. Before we begin, I just wanted to show you what the blanket looks like. So here you can see that beautiful shell stitch, and you can see the nice V-stitch here on the side. So like I said, it's a very fun blanket. You can always change up the colors if you so choose. So for today's tutorial, you're going to need 4 skeins of the Premier Anti-Pilling Everyday DK, and this is a 273 yard skein, 250 meters, 3.5 ounces or 100 grams, and it is 100% anti-pilling acrylic. This is considered a light number 3 weight yarn, and the recommended hook size is a US G6 or 4mm crochet hook. And this is machine wash warm, tumble dry, normal. And the color I'm using is Dusty Rose. You can use any color that you would like in any number 3 weight yarn that you would like. This is just the yarn that I really like to use, and it's a very soft yarn, and they have so many different colors available. So if you're interested in purchasing this yarn, I will leave my link below and you will get 10% off your very first order. So 4 skeins of the Dusty Rose color or the color of your choice, and I'm going to be using a size J10 or 6mm crochet hook. And the reason for that is because I really wanted this blanket to be a little bit more drapey, so using a bigger hook size will do that. So let's begin today's tutorial. So for today's tutorial, you're going to need to make a chain of 119. If you wanted to change the number of chains that you make to make your blanket bigger or smaller, you're going to need to chain in a multiple of 6 plus 5. So when you chain in a multiple of 6 plus 5, you're just going to do 6 plus 6 plus 6 until your desired width, and at the very end, chain an additional 5 to keep everything in balance. So for my baby blanket, I made a chain of 119. For my small sample swatch today, I'm just going to do 6 times 3 and then add 5 additional chains to the very end for a total of 23 chains. So to make a chain, you're going to do yarn over your hook and pull through that loop on your hook. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue until you have a total of 119 chains or your chain multiple of 6 plus 5. Okay, once you have your chain multiple or your 119 chains, we can begin row 1. For row 1, we're going to be working a single crochet into the second chain from our hook and working a single crochet in each chain across. So that loop on your hook does not count. You're going to count 2 chains, so 1 and 2, and in that second chain, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and that is your single crochet. In that very next chain, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Continue making a single crochet in each of the chains across. For your baby blanket, you should have 1 less stitch. So if you started off with 119 stitches, you're going to have 118 single crochets. Keep making 1 single crochet in each chain, and I will meet up with you at the end for row 2. Okay, row 1 is complete. Next, you're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, and turn your work. Now your chains are never going to count as a stitch. So in that very first stitch, we're going to make 2 double crochets. So in this very first stitch right here, yarn over your hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is your double crochet. Yarn over your hook, we're going to work into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's 2 double crochets into your very first stitch. We're going to go ahead and skip 2 stitches, and in the stitch after that we're going to make 1 single crochet. So skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and in the stitch after that make a single crochet. We're going to start our repeat, so we're going to skip 2 stitches, and in the next stitch we're going to make our shell. In this pattern, our shell consists of 4 double crochets into the same stitch. So skip 2, 1, and 2, and in the next stitch after that make 4 double crochets all into that same stitch. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so just like that. Next, you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and you're going to make a single crochet into that next stitch. And that's the end of the repeat. You're going to repeat this all the way across your blanket. So you're going to skip the next 2 stitches, and in the stitch after that make 4 double crochets into the next stitch. So skip 2, and in the stitch after that make 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Skip 2 stitches, and in the stitch after that make a single crochet. You're going to repeat that all the way across to the end of your blanket, and for the final stitch of the blanket you should have a single crochet into that very last stitch. So I'm just going to continue as I am almost done with my swatch. I'm making the 4 double crochets all into that same stitch. I'm going to have 3 stitches remaining, so I'm going to skip 2, and in that very last stitch make a single crochet. And if you are following along with my baby blanket pattern, you should have a total of 98 stitches. So here is what your second row is going to look like. For row 3, go ahead and chain 3 and turn. In that very first stitch, we're going to make 2 double crochets into that first stitch. So that stitch right here, go ahead and make 2 double crochets. Now we're going to skip 2 double crochets from that shell, so you can see your 4 double crochets right here. You're going to skip the very first 2, and you're going to go in between the second and third double crochet and make a single crochet. So skip these two, go right in between the second and third double crochet and make your single crochet. You're going to skip the next 2 double crochets, and in the next stitch, which is that single crochet from the previous row, go ahead and make your shell stitch, which is your 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then you're just going to repeat that all the way across. So find your next shell stitch, skip the first 2 double crochets, going in between the second and third stitch, make a single crochet. Skip the next 2 double crochet stitches, and working in that single crochet stitch, make 4 double crochets. And again, you're just going to repeat this all the way down the width of your blanket. Okay, and then when you get to the final section of your row, so the final part, you should have 2 double crochets left, which is going to be right here. Remember that chain 3 does not count. In the space between the last double crochet and the chain 3, we're going to make a single crochet. So find the 2 double crochets, and this is your chain. So in between the 2 double crochets and that chain, find that space and make a single crochet. And this is what 3 rows looks like. So for each row, your shell is going to be offset a little bit. So you have your shell here, and in the next row, your shell is going to be here. Okay, so for row 4, you're going to chain 3 and turn, and we're going to be repeating row 3 for the remainder of the pattern. So I'll show you one more time. In that very first stitch, go ahead and make 2 double crochets. 1 and 2. Find that shell, and in between the second and third stitches, insert your hook and make a single crochet. Skip the next 2 double crochets, and in the next stitch, which is that single crochet, make 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. In between the second and third stitch of your shell, make a single crochet. Skip 2 stitches, and in that single crochet, make 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. In between the second and third stitch of your shell, make a single crochet. Skip the next 2 double crochets, and in the next stitch, make 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. When you come to the end of your blanket, you have 2 double crochets in your chain 3. You're going to skip the 2 double crochets, and in between that space between the 2 double crochets and the chain, make a single crochet. And here is what 4 rows looks like. Again, your shells are going to be offset in each row, just like that. For the baby blanket, you're just going to repeat row 3 over and over again until you reach your desired height. So I'm going to go ahead and continue working on my blanket, and I'll let you know how many rows I ended up making, and I will also show you how to begin the blanket border. Okay, so I finished working the body of my blanket, and now we can begin working the border. For the blanket, I ended up making 79 rows. You can always make a little bit more rows or less rows depending on the size of your blanket. So now let's go ahead and begin the border. So for round 1, we're going to go ahead and chain 1, and we're not going to turn. We're going to be working along the side of our blanket. So turning my blanket to the side, we're going to be working a single crochet evenly down the side of our blanket. So for a little help, whenever you see the chain 3, you're going to make a single crochet in the top of that chain 3 and in the bottom of that chain 3. When you find a single crochet stitch, you're going to go directly into that single crochet, and you're just going to make a single crochet. Your exact stitch count does not matter as long as your stitches look as even as possible. So for this very first spot right here, you have your chain 3. So we're just going to go into the 2 different stitches and make 1 single crochet in each of those stitches. You're going to find that next single crochet, and you're going to go ahead and make a single crochet into that stitch. Now it might be a little bit tricky, but just take your time, and like I said, the exact stitch count does not matter as long as you have your stitches evenly placed. So go ahead and continue making 1 single crochet evenly down the side of your blanket, and when you get to the first corner, I will show you how to make the corner stitch and the other 3 sides of your blanket. Okay, so I finished the first side of my blanket. You should have an even number of stitches. Again, the stitch count doesn't matter as long as you have an even number. So if you have 102 stitches, that's fine. If you have 100 stitches, that's fine as well. So as long as you have an even number, you should be just fine. Now I'm over at my first corner, so at my first corner you're going to make 3 single crochets all into that corner space. So 1, 2, and 3. You're going to work 1 single crochet along the bottom of your blanket. When you get to your second corner, you're going to make 3 single crochets, and then when you work along the other side of your blanket, you're going to make an even number of single crochets along the side of your blanket. So go ahead and make your remaining 2 rows, and then I'll show you how to work the top of your blanket. Okay, so I finished the side of my blankets. Now I can begin working the top. So in that very first stitch right here, you're going to make your corner. So 3 single crochets in the top of that very first double crochet. In that next stitch, go ahead and make a single crochet. In that next stitch, which is that single crochet, make a single crochet. You're going to make 2 single crochets into this single crochet. So when you see the single crochet from the previous row or from the top of your blanket, go ahead and make 2 single crochets into that same stitch. We're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches, which is going to be the top of your double crochet stitches. So you have your 4 double crochets here. You're going to make 1 single crochet in each of those 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. In the next stitch, which is going to be the single crochet, you're going to make 2 single crochets in the same stitch. And then you're just going to repeat this across. So you're going to make 2 single crochets in the single crochet stitch, and then when you have your double crochets, you're going to make 1 single crochet in each of the double crochet stitches. So I'll show you the repeat. So next is our single crochet. You're going to insert your hook and make 2 single crochets into that same stitch. You're going to find your shell and you have your 4 double crochets. You're going to work 1 single crochet in each of the 4 double crochets. In that next stitch, which is the single crochet, make 2 single crochets. Along the shell of your blanket, you're going to work 1 single crochet in each of those 4 stitches. And that is the repeat. So one more time, in that single crochet, work 2 single crochets, and when you get to your shell, you're going to have 4 double crochets. You're going to work 1 single crochet in each of those 4. Repeat that all the way across the top of your blanket. And then when you get to the very last stitch, you're going to go ahead and make your final corner, which is going to be your 3 single crochets in the corner, and then we're going to slip stitch to the top of that very first stitch made of the front of the round, and then we can move on to border round 2. Okay, so I just finished my corner, so I'm going to find my very first stitch, and I'm just going to slip stitch that to close the round. For round 2 of your border, you're going to chain 2, and we're going to be working in the same direction. So for round 2, we're going to skip that very first stitch, so that stitch that's right here attached to your chain 2, and we are going to make a double crochet in each stitch around. When we get to the corners, we're going to be working in the middle of the 3 single crochets, and we're going to insert 3 double crochets into that corner. So skip that very first stitch, and in the stitch after that, make your double crochet. Make your double crochet into the next stitch, and keep making 1 double crochet in each of your stitches around. I will work until I get to my first corner, and I will show you how to work each of the corners and then move on to the next round. So just make 1 double crochet in each single crochet until you get to the corner, and I'll show you how to make the corner stitch. Okay, so coming up to my first corner, you have those 3 single crochets. You're going to work 1 double crochet into that first stitch. That next stitch, which is going to be right here, is your corner. So you're going to work 3 double crochets into that corner space. 1, 2, and 3. And then that final stitch of the corner, you're going to make 1 double crochet. So go ahead and complete the other 3 sides of your blanket in the same way, making 1 double crochet in each single crochet around. When you get to the corner, you're going to find that middle stitch of the 3 single crochets together, and you're going to work 3 double crochets into that middle stitch. Once you finish border round 2, I will show you how to move on to border round 3. Okay, for the 3rd round of our border, we're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to skip that very first stitch, and in the stitch after that, we're going to be making a V-stitch. And the V-stitch in this pattern is going to be a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all into that same stitch. So we're going to skip that very first stitch, and which is going to be the stitch that's attached to the chain 1, and in that next stitch we're going to make a single crochet, chain 1, or chain 2 rather, and single crochet all into that same stitch. Okay, we're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're just going to repeat this all the way around. When we get to the corners, we're going to be working into the top of the double crochet, the 3 double crochet stitches made in the corner from the previous round. So when we come to the corner, we're going to either have a V-stitch or a skip stitch. So in this case we have a V-stitch. It doesn't matter if you have a V-stitch or a skip stitch. And in each of the 3 double crochet corners, we're going to make a V-stitch. So after you're working in the corner, we're going to be doing the exact same thing that we've been doing with the V-stitch. So when we get to the corner, we're going to make a V-stitch in each of these 3 corner spaces. So again, with the V-stitch, it's going to be a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all into that same stitch. In that next corner space, make your next V-stitch, and in that final space of your final corner stitch, make your final V-stitch. Okay, after we work our 3 double crochet corner stitches, we're going to skip the next stitch and we're going to continue with the pattern. So skip this next stitch right here, and in the stitch after that, make your V-stitch, which again is your single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all into that same stitch. Skip the next stitch, and in the stitch after that, make your V-stitch. Continue making your V-stitch all the way across, and when we get to the next corner, I'll show you how to make the next corner and move on for the rest of border round 3. Okay, so I'm over at my next corner, and I have 3 stitches right here. I just made my last V-stitch, and in this case I have 1 stitch before, so you're going to skip that one, and in each of these 3 corner spaces you're going to go ahead and make your V-stitch. So there's your first V-stitch, in the next stitch make another V-stitch, and finally make a V-stitch in that very next stitch. Okay, so this is what your corner is going to look like. You're going to skip that next stitch and work your V-stitch, And you're going to do this for the remainder of your border. So make a V-stitch, skip the next stitch, make a V-stitch, skip the next stitch. When you get to the corner, in each of those 3 double crochet corner spaces or stitches, you're going to make a V-stitch in each of those. So continue with border round 3, making the single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, V-stitch, and when we get to the end, I'll show you how to end round 3 and move on to round 4 of our border. Okay, so I'm coming up at the end of my round, so you're going to find that very first single crochet made, and you're going to make a slip stitch to close the round. You're going to chain 1 and turn. For border round 4, we're going to make a V-stitch in each of the chain 2 spaces. When we get to the corner, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, but for the remaining sides of your blanket, you're going to work a V-stitch in each chain 2 space. So find that chain 2 space, go right in between that chain 2 space, and make your V-stitch. So your V-stitches will be stacked on top of one another. You're going to find that next V-stitch, go right into the center of that chain 2 space, and make your V-stitch. Again, find the next V-stitch, go in between that chain 2 space, and work a V-stitch. Continue working a V-stitch in the chain 2 space from the previous round until you get to your first corner. Once you get to your first corner, I will show you how to make the corner stitch and move on to the rest of your blanket. Okay, so I'm nearing the corner and I have 1 chain 2 space left. So go ahead and make your V-stitch into that last stitch of the row. Okay, so now for your corner space, we're going to be making a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all into that same space. So you're essentially just going to be making 2 V-stitches into that same space. So go ahead and make your first V-stitch. And then you're going to chain 2 and you're going to single crochet back into that same corner space. So in your corner space you should have 3 single crochets and you should have 2 chain 2 spaces. And then moving on to the rest of the border, you're going to find that next chain 2 space and make a V-stitch. Continue that around for border round 4. And again, when you get to your next corner, you're going to single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, all into that corner space. For your corner space, you should have 2 chain 2 spaces. Okay, so I just finished up border round 4 and I'm at the beginning. You're going to find that first single crochet and you're just going to slip stitch. So here is what your corners are going to look like, and then the rest of your blanket, of course. So after you finish your round, you're going to get your scissors and you're going to cut a little bit of a tail. And I just like to yarn over and pull through and tighten. Next, you're going to get your tapestry needle and you're going to weave in your ends. And this is going to be the same for all of your yarn ends. And you're just going to go in between your stitches to to hide your tail end. And then I like to go in the opposite direction. And then finally, I like to go in one more direction just to really make sure that end is secure. Okay, once I feel that my end is secure, I'm just going to cut off the tail, and that is it. And you're going to do that for the remainder of your tail ends. So as you can see, this is your finished blanket, and this is what your border is going to look like. Again, this is what your corner is going to look like. So very, very pretty and very frilly for a baby girl. So you have your nice shell stitches for the center of the blanket, and then again you have your nice frilly border. So thank you so much for joining me today and learning how to make the Rosy Cheeks Baby Blanket. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Please like, comment, and subscribe to see all future videos by me. And as always, happy crocheting! Bye!